After the pledges are done and put it by the third row. They're going to use that for the interview with Matt.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For tonight's showcase, prior to the start of our board meeting, we have the drum line from Lake Belton High School. Let's give them a warm welcome. And you may begin.
Now for something completely different.
All right, here we go. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed our student showcase tonight by the Lake Belton High School Drumline. Give a round of applause, please. The time is now 6:15, and the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees are now convened in a regular board meeting on Monday, January 23rd, 2023, in the Pittenger Fine Arts Center located at 400 North Wall Street, Belton, Texas. A quorum of board members is present. This meeting has been duly called, and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our live stream viewers to this meeting. As the Belton ISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and the day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees held in public. This is not a public meeting. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items may not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. This meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. These proceedings are being live streamed on Belton ISD's YouTube channel, and a recording of the meeting will be available on the district's website in the days following tonight's meeting. For the video to adequately reflect the proceedings, respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. Thank you for your interest in Belton ISD. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. Please remain standing. Communications team introduces students from Tarver Elementary. They'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and honors to the Texas flag.
Thank you, board. With us tonight, we have two amazing fifth graders that I've got to sit beside this evening. First up, we have Rain Norvell, and then we have Tala Ali.
Do I start? Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pledge allegiance to honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Let me tell you a little bit about these beautiful young ladies. Rain goes above and beyond in class each day to demonstrate respect, responsibility, and safety. She's an absolute delight to teach and is always encouraging those around her to do their best. She leads by example and is destined for great things. Rain loves the challenge of learning all subjects. She likes being able to look back and say, wow, I never thought of that. And outside of school, she loves reading and spending time with her family. Tala's favorite subjects in school are both science and writing because she can't pick just one. After school, she loves baking things from other cultures and doing creative arts and crafts. Her teacher says that she enjoys reading, telling jokes, and challenging herself to learn more. Her friends say that she's funny. I think she must be really funny if two people said she's funny, and caring and sarcastic. She is definitely the foodie of her group and loves making all kinds of foods for her friends. Thank you, girls.
Okay, thank you very much. First item on the agenda, and the reason we are here, our wonderful students, is recognitions.
Yes, you'll notice we have a lot of students with us tonight because we have a lot of recognitions. And first up this evening, well, let's give another hand for the Bronco drumline because they were fantastic. So our first recognition tonight, and it's so appropriate that they're first because this is a first for Belton ISD. The Bronco Esports Apex Legend Red Team, made of Dylan Clunk, Caden Rice, and Aiden Scammell, placed first out of 82 teams, and they are the state champions in esports. Congratulations. Next on our recognitions, we're going to introduce 6 different teams members that have been recognized by the Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State. So that means these students are great athletes and great students. So first up, we have from Belton High School, the football team, Lennox Underwood Jr., Aiden King, Cole Chrisman, Isaac Jones, Isaiah Devonshire, Aiden Stock, Mason Ram, Noah Moaga, Zachary Erickson, Ethan Sandoval, Grant Baggerly, and Carson Dunn. Congratulations. From the Belton High School, volleyball team, we have Charlotte Colleen, Paige Champlin, and Michaelin Perez. From the Belton High School cross-country team, we have Bryce Roberts, Ethan Vasquez Miranda, Cole Chrisman, Clayton Oaks, Caleb Packard, Caitlin McDonald, Raina Smith, Karina Orona, America Villegas, Esperanza Leal. Congratulations, guys. All right, moving on to Lake Belton High School. Members of the football team are Chase Moore, Hayden Nix, Maria Miller, Connor Cruz, Brady Johnson, Claire Peterson, Dominic Simpson, Liliana Keita, Reed Hill, Christian Kuntz, Madison Combes, Caleb Oldham, Colin Espinoza, Haley Koski, Kayunte Williams, Bruce Onchueri, Brinley Jetton, Tristan Robin, Connor Brennan, Evan Rowland, Jaden Leza, Chase Thorpe, Floyd Bristol, Jackson Myers, and Aaron Tagle. Congratulations, guys. All right. From LBHS Volleyball, Sydney Cartwright, Danica Bingham, Paige Roll, Presley Patrick, Brianna Arizmendi. Congratulations, ladies. And finally, from LBHS Cross Country, Delilah Zuniga, Erica Dawson, Lauren Hartsfeld, Spencer Mason, and Jordan Axelson. We are really excited that we had 3 teams of students from the Belton FFA competed at the state FFA contest. From the broadcasting team, we had Ulyssa Gray, Tanner Kastner, and Raina Smith. From the public relations team, we had Braden Gutierrez, Macy Weber, and Cooper Hobson. And from the Agriculture Issues Forum team, we had Lakin Easton, Emma Canales, Victoria Canales, Addison Hicks, Cadence Sigler, and Trinity Collins. Congratulations, guys. We're also very proud that we sent 8 students to the Texas Thespians National Competition from Belton High School. We had Ananice Lopez Rodriguez, Addison Jojo Fogel, and Courtney Kidd, and Brennan Wynn. And from Lake Belton High School, we had Liam McCullough, Dakota Branch, Bailey Janicki, and Jonas Dotson. Congratulations. I think it speaks to the caliber of programs that we have here in Belton, that we've recognized athletes and thespians and scholars. Got a lot to be proud of. And now I'd like to ask our Board of Trustees, if you wouldn't mind all coming down in front of our backdrop over here. January is recognized statewide as Board Appreciation Month, and we have a fantastic school board. The Big Red community has been celebrating our school board all month long because this group of people, these volunteers, provide vision and leadership, and they serve as advocates. They ensure that there is a link between our community and the classroom, and they help us provide exceptional learning experiences for each and every student, and we are eternally grateful for their service. Thank you. We have President Jeff Norwood, Vice President Ty Taggart, Secretary Manuel Alcozer, Suzanne McDonald, Janet Lee, Chris Floor, and Aaron Bass. Thank you all.
So as our board is making their way back up to the dais here, I just wanted to say a special thank you. I think people in this room know the dedication of these board members is beyond question. And there are a lot of boards in the state of Texas, but one of the things that impresses me the most about this board is their agenda. You know what their agenda is about? Kids. It is all about the kids in Belton ISD, and they work tirelessly for that. And they averaged over 100 hours of volunteer work. Again, board positions are volunteer work. 100 hours of volunteer work over the last year, and that doesn't include getting into our schools and seeing performances and attending events. And so a special thank you for me as a superintendent and all of our administrative team to our board, 1, for keeping a focus on the kids, and 2, for selflessly dedicating your time to ensuring that our school district and our community is a great place to live. So please give them one more round of applause.
Dr. Smith, I know I'm all out of order, but you know, I take me wherever I go. I'm glad that you said all that you said that about us, because that leads me into what I wanted to share with this team of 8. I know the board is 7, and we have the superintendent's a team of 8. I recently came across this, it was shared with me, and it just resonates with me because it makes me think of this team of 8. What we do, we make a choice every day in what we do and how we do. We can choose to argue, debate, or dig our heels in, or what we actually choose to do. We choose to listen to each other, share ideas, and unite for mutually assured success. I think that's very apropos for this particular set of folks at this dais. So thank you all for the work that you do. Proud to work alongside of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the board members. Thank you for the kind words, Dr. Smith. With that, we will take a short break to allow the guests. As you see, most of them already left here. That's a big vacant spot you see over there now. And here go the rest of them. And also give this time for them to, y'all can go ahead and start moving y'all's equipment. I know it's a little loud to do that, so take your time and go ahead and move it.
Move this out of the way. Thank you, guys.
Never mind, wait for Abby, wait for Abby. Why are y'all both going? Oh, thank you so much.
Well, it looks like we got all of the drumline equipment out of here, so now we can, yeah, it is a little cold. Based on next is public comments. Based on BED local, we will take public comments regarding items on the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. Comments regarding non-agenda items will be heard at the conclusion of the meeting to allow the board to conduct business of the district. As of now, I don't have any public comments on agenda items. Is that correct, Connie? Okay, then we will move on to the next thing. Next item on the agenda is the presentation of child safety fee funds from the city of Belton.
Trustees, as you know, we have a wonderful partnership with the city of Belton, and the gentleman that is up at the podium right now is an outstanding leader for our community. We welcome Mayor Wayne Carpenter to the podium tonight, and thank you for your partnership, sir.
Thank you. What a great night to come to a board meeting. We don't have nearly this much fun at City Hall. I want you to know that. It's a great night. Last year, the Bell County registered over 300 automobile registrations, and a small portion of that money is directed to the county, to the city, and we're fortunate to be able to give it back to you. This year, we have over $25,954 to pass on to you to use for our school crossing guards. And we're proud to be able to do that and share that money with you. And before I do hand this check off, I just want to say School Board Recognition Month, we do have a great partnership. We're so proud of what y'all do. One of the great reasons that people want to be in Belton is Belton ISD, and being a proud graduate, breaking in this auditorium when I was a senior, it was brand new, hard to believe, a few years back. But we are very appreciative of what you do. We're glad to share this check with you all tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Carpenter. It is wonderful to have the relationships we have with our cities. Next item on the agenda is action items. The first action item, Dr. Smith.
Yes, I'm going to welcome Todd Schiller, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, up to announce an exciting hire for us at Tarver Elementary School.
All right, good evening. We have one recommendation for you tonight, and that is for Alyssa Curtis for Assistant Principal at Tarver Elementary. Alyssa has a Bachelor's of Arts degree from UMHB, a Master's degree from University of Texas at Arlington, and has been within Belton ISD all of her career, the full 10 years. Started out as a Southwest Elementary teacher and is currently instructional coach at Sparta Elementary. So we are happy to welcome her tonight.
I was looking. Yeah. All right, do we have a motion for the approval of the personnel additions as presented? I have one. Ms. Lee, I have two. Okay, all in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
And we have Alyssa here tonight, and I'll have her go over there, and we'll take a couple of pictures.
We will do pictures because we like them. Let's go. Looky there, I jumped right over an item, sorry about that. Let me go back to it now. I was excited about that check from the city of Belton. And then about a new principal, or assistant principal. So I'll move on. So the previous item on the agenda, because I can't call it the next one, would be the journey of a graduate, empathy. Dr. Smith.
Board, just a reminder, every month we talk about the journey of a graduate competencies, and as a reminder for our public, 2 years ago, in the height of some of the challenges that we were facing nationwide and worldwide, we brought over 100 community members together to define the competencies that we wanted to see, that our community wanted to see our students develop as they engaged in a schooling experience in Belton ISD. And those competencies have been laid out. Tonight's competency that we're highlighting is empathy. And so if you would, trustees, please weigh in on what empathy means to you and how you might see it play out in our school system.
So I have seen empathy in real life terms over at Beck's. Whenever a student is out, the entire classroom is engaged. When that student returns to the classroom, everyone is welcoming them back and hoping that they feel better and everything's okay. So we're teaching at a very young age what that empathy means. So I've seen it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, I did a tour over there couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about a curriculum that they have with baby dolls, where they get to actually talk to the baby and you know, make sure they take care of each one of them, have their own baby, and they can talk to it, make sure that it has what it needs, and it's just teaching them kindness and caring and empathy, and like that baby, it kind of represents them as well. So, you know, what would you want if you were the baby? It's a beautiful thing that they're doing over there, just like Suzanne said, and I'm super proud of that work.
You know, most of my comments center around business. I think Chris talks about that a lot too. But to me, this is more of a personal situation where I think it's a key to building lasting friendships and lasting relationships. I think it's a key part.
You know, I got the privilege of being part of that group for the Journey of a Graduate, and I do vividly remember some conversations around empathy. And it was very important to the parents that were on there, the community members on there, even students and staff. And, you know, I do believe that we were created to be in community with each other, that we are to be in relationship with one another. And it's important that we value and understand one another. Doesn't mean we have to agree, but I think it's important that we value someone else's perspective because it may be different from ours. And I think empathy played out in the classroom. I think tonight was a good example. You know, a group of students coming together to make one piece of music. They had to work together. Some of them may not hang out outside of that, but they have to understand and value one another to work together to create something fantastic like that was. And watching them interact with each other, I kind of watched their eyes, especially when they got on the drums, and it was just really interesting and fascinating to watch them work together. And I could see how it played out there because they valued each other, and they had to work together to make something like that. So it's a good one.
All right. It's a good thing my wife's not here, and you'll understand in a second. I'm going to attack this from three different angles, right? A personal angle, a BISD angle, and then a workplace angle. So empathy, the first part of it is, this is the one I'm glad my wife's not here for, right? So this is about being able to, you know, understand the people that you're working with, the people who you're trying to help solve problems, or the people that you're trying to, you know, help get through life together, right? And really trying to understand and meet them, understand where they are, being able to meet them where they are, being able to understand the perspective that they have to move forward in a productive way together. Personally, I think I do this really well in the business world. I don't think I do this so well on the home front. I think I've got situational empathy. And so I'm working on that one personally. But at Belton ISD, I see this anytime I'm on a campus. Each and every time I'm on a campus, I see this, right? And I see it being displayed from our staff members to our students, and from our staff members to other staff members, right? I've not been on a single campus where, you know, the staff and the administration on that campus can't tell me every single thing about a student that walks down the hall. Like there's never been a student walk by that I haven't seen, you know, the admin engage with and really understand, you know, who is that student? Where is that student coming from? You know, where do they live generally? Not, you know, creepy the direct address, but, you know, but like where do they live and like what is their story and how does that story impact their ability to learn, right? And how do we meet that student where that student is so that they can have a successful day, a successful school year, a successful journey through Belton ISD. And so I see it every single time I go on campus. And, you know, it's one of the reasons why we settled here. We saw that when we toured campuses, and it just made such a mark. From a business world standpoint, you know, I work in the IT consulting industry. You guys know this already, 8,000 times. You know, in the consulting space, this is what we have to do. Like, this is important for us because we are trying to solve problems for somebody. If you don't understand sort of the background and where our clients are, right? Same thing, you know, kind of discussed with the students or the teachers, understand that for the students. Like, we have to do that very same thing in the business world for our clients. And so it's very translatable into the real world. And it's something that, it's really hard for us to kind of gauge from an interviewing standpoint, right? And so the fact that, we've made this a focus from a Belton ISD point of view to try to build that up is just going to take our workforce, right? Take our students to give them just that much, more of a leg up sort of against their peer competition. So again, this is one I sometimes struggle with, but I think is so important and so touching, I think, in my experience with Belton ISD.
Board, I appreciate you weighing in on that. And our definition of that the committee settled on was a BISD learner demonstrates sensitivity, concern, and respect towards others' feelings and experiences. And Chris's point about being a workplace skill that I think every employer that I've heard is the ability to have dialogue with other people while you may have differing opinions, to being able to do that in a respectful manner, in a learning manner that helps you move something forward. And I'm excited to see that play out in our classrooms and us to continue to grow that in the experience for our students in Belton ISD. So thank you.
Thank you all very much. Next item is reports. First report is Superintendent's report. Dr. Smith?
So we're doing a few things out of order this month, and I am going to travel down there to that podium because I got a special guest to help me with the Superintendent's report this month. And we're also going to let our tech team, if they would, fix something, because with all the moving around, we had some cables come loose, and we're missing our monitor access up here. So as I come on down there, we're going to let them figure that one out. I'll be right back. Is that all right?
Actually, yeah, that's good.
That gonna be okay?
Yeah.
All right, board. So every month I come to you with a superintendent's report and I go through a slideshow and I provide you the administrative updates of the school district. But sometimes we lose the effect of all of this. And we thought for School Board Appreciation Month, one of the most important things that we could do is focus on the student experience. And so I have a special guest with me. This is Jace Ramasar, and Jace and I got to have lunch together a couple weeks ago at Sparta Elementary School, thanks to our partners at Beef. As you all remember, at Beef, they had an opportunity for kids and or parents to have lunch with the superintendent, and I think Jace just got stuck with me. So I really enjoyed it. I don't know how much he enjoyed it, but I was totally enthralled with Jace's experience. Also, his ability to articulate the things that matter most to him about his experience in Belton ISD. So today, we're going to just walk through a couple of questions so you hear from Jace's own words about his student experience in Belton ISD and at Sparta Elementary School. Does that sound good? All right, so Jace, tell us a little bit about yourself. What school do you attend? What grade are you in? What do you like to do?
Well, I go to Sparta Elementary, and I'm in 4th grade. My favorite subject would be math, and I love soccer.
What's the best thing about this school year for you?
I would say probably my teacher, Miss Fitzer, because she lets us get creative. Like, for example, we were working on something called the Hatchet Project. Has anyone here heard of the Plot Mountain?
Anybody heard of that? No?
Oh, so
Tell them a little bit about it.
it's basically an imaginary mountain for a plot of a book. It's like the first part of it, which is the beginning, then the rising action, which is like the plot to it, and falling action, which is basically them resolving the problem. And we're making one in real life, and it's really fun. She let us get creative with it, and she's letting everybody else make their own projects too.
So all you English majors up there, that's pretty exciting. I get really excited over stuff like that. But tell us a little bit about what you like in your classroom activities.
Well, I like my teacher most again because she teaches us not just stuff for school. She also teaches us like how to socialize with other people.
Excellent. What spectacular things does your teacher do in the classroom? You've shared a few ideas with me, like she allows you to do stuff. What else does she do?
Well, the amazing things our teacher does is helping everyone out, like instead of just saying, well, you can't figure it out, you can do this. She actually does it. And she teaches us, like I said, real life skills and explains RACE, which stands for restating the question, and it restate, answer, cite, and then explain, which is basically saying, like, I restate the question. What, like, the amazing things our teacher does is that's restating it, and then the answer, which is showing what amazing things she does. Then cite means show your thoughts on it, like evidence. Finally, show your evidence to it.
So it sounds like you've learned a little bit about how to do that in your fourth grade class this year.
Yes.
Excellent. Tell me a little bit about an idea. You shared an idea with me when we got to have lunch together, an idea, and he came with a list and has an idea for some improvements. And so I thought we ought to share his idea for improvement too.
Okay. I would love to share my idea about the school, is that schools would have an optional after-school class. And you go to different class that you pick, like, each day. And A, it should not just be you watching a video for the majority of the class. You know how that goes. And B, it's not just going to be tests, because, again, you know how that goes. It's not the best. So it should be from 3:05 to 4 o'clock. And the subjects that I would say it should be is art, writing, ELA, reading, math, and mindfulness.
And so this would be like an after-school activity. So if you wanted to go, you'd have an opportunity to choose the things you'd be interested in.
Yes.
Do you remember what you told me about why it shouldn't be soccer?
Oh, because people can get rough with it. Actually, our schools got banned from soccer because people were too rough with it, and we're not letting that happen again.
So we had a good conversation about there's got to be some parameters around stuff to be able to make it an enjoyable experience for everybody. Finally, our last question is really about the group sitting up here in front of me. So this is our school board, and you and I talked a little bit about our school board before. Our school board volunteers their time to do great things for kids and to focus on the experience that you have. Is there anything that you would like to share with our school board as we're recognizing them this month?
I really appreciate you guys. Like, you guys are helping us out with a lot of things. Even though you don't get paid, this is a big deal for us students. It's just thank you for everything.
So I think you can tell why I wanted Jace to come present with us tonight. This is a fourth grader, and I asked him, I said, hey, if I do this, do you think you could come speak in front of everybody? He kind of cocked his head and thought for a second. He's like, oh yeah, I got this. And so please give Jace a round of applause to tell us a little bit about his experience at Sparta. Good job, buddy. Thank you for being here.
Wait, I see a camera going over. Is he following you? Oh, okay. Wow. Well, Jace, thank you for the best superintendent report we've ever had. Just want you to know that. Next will be the Temple Reinvestment Zone update.
Board, I am honored to welcome John Keela here today. I feel like we've taken a lot of pictures. Maybe he wants to take a picture with us too. You never know. John is the Belton ISD representative on the Temple Reinvestment Zone Board, and we're excited to have him here. We were talking earlier today. I think it's been a few years since we've had this report. So, John, thank you for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to report to y'all. Dr. Smith, President and Board, it's been a long time since I've been here, and I give this report about 5 times a year, and it is usually an hour and a half and 178 slides. So when Ms. Connie told me to send it to her, I was like, how do I do that? I'll have a little empathy for you and try to blow through this thing and respect your time, but you have to understand how an important function the RZ is in the city of Temple and for Bell County. And I am honored to have represented you for so many years. I am the project chair and am in charge of actually vetting all the projects, trying to get them started. So I'm gonna go through it for real quick. We do master plans about every 5-6 years. This was for 2020, 2030. We already are blowing through this and getting ready to update this. So one of our functions is we have to have a master plan. This last master plan, we really concentrated on 4 items, you guys: prosperity, the placemaking, connectivity, public well-being. We took those as categories that we want to do as a zone for our community, for Bell County, so we kept those 4 principles. The actual zone is the areas in gray. So it represents the area around the McLean Company, all the industrial park, the airport, the T-Med area, and then an East Temple. And very short explanation of what the zone is that when you buy the land, we lock in the tax rate at that. Anybody who comes into that area, we capture the increments, what it's called, so we capture the tax value. And it is taxed, we're collecting BISDs, TISDs, county, Temple College. Largest payer into that is TISD, and then it is made whole by the state. The state pays the taxing entity back. So in those areas, once we moved into it, we locked them down. One of the biggest things in the prosperity that changed the zone, y'all, was when the Panda Power Plant on the east side came. It was a $1.5 billion plant, which made our increment go from about $3 million to $14 million, and that has given us a lot of energy to go there and put a bunch of other infrastructure on the ground. So in the last 5 years since I really reported back to you, we did $595 million worth of projects in the industrial park. If you have any questions, you can stop me. If not, I'm just going to blow through these pictures. The key to this right now is we got $158 million worth of projects on the books right now. So as a unpaid employee like you all, I spend a huge amount of my personal time in trying to organize, vet, and push $158 million worth of projects through the city of Temple. In the next 5 years, we will move that to $272 million. We've got $35 million of increment per year that comes into our coffers. It takes about $15 million to pay debt, operations, so $20 million per year. That number is going to accelerate exponentially in this next 5-year period because of what we have been doing. Placemaking, just a quick example, we're totally redoing downtown Temple. We do master plans, we meet with everybody, they come in. I follow the master, I follow the plan, we work, and I just go through the projects and we vet them all. So you've seen a lot of these. We redid the stuff in front of Santa Fe Plaza, both with TISD, ED, and the plaza. We are making a hike and bike trail going all the way to 14th Street to the east. So we did, in every one of these projects, we vetted, designed, got the engineering done, and had paid for them. So as I'm going through this, this is what the zone has done through the city, who is our managing partner, but the zone is a standalone board that handles every one of these projects. You know, underneath the bridge down there by Trinos, you can see that. We go from design and turn it into an actual project. That's how they all go. This was the design for the Han Arcadian, if you've been there. We've now done the garage that's going to be there, and it's real close to having that. We're calling it City Center. It's a $25 million project, and will drastically change what's happening in the downtown. The Trinos First Street, that just shows you the sort of a streetscape that we will be doing in all of downtown. And at that parking lot right now, if you go down there, they're building another 3-story parking garage there to look like this. Again, just master planning, we are going to drastically convert the downtown Temple into a real power center, and so we're redoing it piece by piece. You know, again, I'm blowing through these. Each one of these slides has 10 slides where I could explain exactly what we are doing to do it, but I'm just giving you a quick picture of what we are doing. And so these are pictures of what we are hoping to do in the downtown. Most of these properties we already have bought and taken old buildings down and getting ready to replace them with new ones. This is our festival fields, and heading east, this is on Avenue C, and as far as you can see to the east, we are moving through MLK, and we're going and spending close to $12 million in the east side of Temple. That's the festival fields, the beginning of C, and it is very much, we've bought it and secured a place for playing in downtown that won't have buildings for, and it is actually 4 city blocks, and so totally set aside for festivals and fields. This is down Henderson, again, East Temple. We are spending really close to $20 million to the east, big story there. We felt that there's no way we can just build downtown, go build new factories without making sure everyone in the community. So we are spending a ton of money in East Temple to bring new infrastructure, roads, and housing to that east side of town. We are moving from downtown in every direction. We're heading to West Temple, to T-Med, to the east. This is the 3rd Street going towards the T-Med, so we'll be doing that. We took the whole gateway of Temple, Texas on the Adams and Central and have spent a ton of money there. We did a lot of work in front of the high school, bought the old Johnson's Brothers Ford, took all that, owned the land, did a master plan, and you got an entryway and have it together. We're doing a full gateway on Adams and Central, good $7 million. Having visual arts. We're doing arts throughout the town now as far as monuments, and so we'll have them on both sides of the street. Public well-being, very important. We got the hospitals in Temple, Texas, and in Bell County, and one of the things that this community needs to do is to focus on the health and the well-being of the people who are moving in here. And so we are spending dollars in that. We pretty much designed, bought, and paid for the Crossroads Park. Really successful. It's used by a lot of the citizens, and I believe quite a few BISD kids are on that side. It's so successful, we are taking across the street from Prairie View, and we'll be putting another 5 fields in and an indoor facility and making sure that we can concentrate on growing the park in that area. Hike and bike's very important. Yes, sir.
Sorry. Quick question on that, on the Crossroads Park, because I knew y'all put it in, and this is just for information so that I can know. So that operates, they have the tournaments and all that. So does the money that's generated there go back to the city of Temple, or does it go back to the reinvestment?
On the park, they had a bond election, and it was $23 million, and I think we spent $23 million, and they definitely, on the park, are operating it. So the money goes back to them. It is an independent that manages it for the city of Temple. So it is a huge venture to try to maintain, mow. If you go there and look at that, it is close to 80 acres groomed, and it is constantly a nightmare taking care of it, to be honest with you. So I would say that there's probably not enough money coming in from those tournaments to manage that field. If you talk to Kevin Beavers, I'm sure he would tell you that. But we've pushed really hard in the city of Temple to focus in on the parks. They've got a new master plan that was just approved, and we are really focusing on multiple hike and bike trails, connecting every business center with another business center. And so all of those are taxpayers' dollars going to them. One of the really good things that we concentrated, if you go all the way back to our original document, that quality of place. We focus quality of place to bring the salaries up, and we're trying to really balance. So we had a huge amount of people at the hospital and a huge amount of people out in the warehouse district. We've concentrated on jobs to try to bring that average salary up, and it is incredible. We just ran the numbers, the new numbers from the census in West Temple. It's amazing. I believe that they're like at 150 is your household income there, and that is considerably different than we've had in the past. So allows taxpayers' dollars to pay for that kind of facilities, because it is a lot of money.
John, while I have a pause real quick, just to clarify on this too, because when I first moved here, not every community has a reinvestment zone, and John helped me understand this, but the reinvestment zone like for some of these projects, these aren't right in the reinvestment zone. As long as it goes to the city of Temple or is in the city of Temple, the reinvestment zone can help with those projects. Is that
I think we
correct?
can actually spend the money in Bell County.
Any in Bell County?
I believe that is to be true.
Excellent.
Definitely in the city of Temple, but it does not have to focus inside the zone. So some of these projects we are doing are definitely outside the zone. East Temple, all of that is not in the zone. The zone, important zones is where Panda is in the north area. Both of those zones were, we call it the original, and that was where we captured the school tax from TISD. The TMed airport area, it was after school finance reform, and all you're capturing is county and city.
Excellent.
So,
thank you.
Again, hike and bike trails throughout the town. Moving to TMed, it is our 50% of GDP in the city. So one of the first things we did was worked with Temple College doing First Street. We just got a grant from the government, $10 million, 2 pieces to redo Veterans. And so we'll be taking that First Street all the way down, connecting it with the downtown on one of the slides I showed you where we're coming towards TMed. So we'll be connecting the whole hospital district with the downtown district. Showed you that slide before where we're doing the gateway, and so we're moving ourselves across the railroad tracks and heading west also so that we can connect the whole community together. This is what the Veterans Boulevard will look like when we're completed. It is currently under design, probably should start in the next year and a half. Well, we did Avenue U, which connected Temple, the hospital, Scott and White, with the VA. We currently will be putting in that art piece. The art piece was bought by the Bioscience District, and the zone is putting in the whole landscaping, and so we'll be seeing that. You will see that over the next 3 years, we will have considerable amount of public art. We've gone out and found various artists to make it. This is stainless steel and paint, and it is 30 foot tall. So these are major facilities you'll be seeing throughout the city of Temple. Again, just really the concentration on the hospital, the dollars that are made there. We've done a lot of work around there, about 10 slides, but that's the one slide I'll show you just because it's too much. The zone took this, if you'll all remember this mess in front of Temple College where you didn't know how to get over to the loop. We have worked on it, made it an intersection, but the frontage roads are ready for the I-14. As you know, it's been designated for I-14. They are currently working on this section from 5th Street past the loop so that we can then begin to actually rededicate it as 14. So very important for the city to have two highways, two federal highways. Airport, we always tell everybody that the people who are coming into our community to invest, this is how they get here. It is very important that our airport is in top shape. If you go out there at any given point now, you'll see 5 or 6 fairly large jets out there. We had a master plan to put in hangars for corporate jets that were supposed to last through 28, and they're almost all full. So really most of your companies that move into here or are in Bell County are using this airport as their way to get in and out. It's their gateway. If you're out there right now, we are building a brand new FBO fixed-based wing operation, which is where these individuals come. Their pilots can go in there, their sleeping quarters, that's how they file their flight plans. It is when they're flying in, your pilots stay here usually, so they're able to stay and do their work while whatever business is happening in an industrial park or hospital or whatever, and then they leave. It was really important to me and to the group that if you've ever been out there, we have a children's hospital and we have a huge hospital, and a lot of people are flown out of this airport because of injuries. And if you've ever been on this runway in the middle of summer and watched them transfer someone from an ambulance to a plane or a medical travel, it takes about 45 minutes. It's just, you're sad to watch it. So we pushed really hard to make sure we could cover that to make it a lot easier because, again, a lot of life flights, a lot of medical flights in and out of our airport. You know, connectivity is just real important. We are connecting the power centers. I think what's really wonderful is what happened on 317. 317 has connected West Temple to to Belton. It's the same thing with 2305, now airport, the airport or the Veterans Boulevard. And so throughout the community, we're making power centers, making sure those power centers have housing, live, work, place. That's what this actually talks about. Wherever there is someone, you need the business, you need the housing, and you need to make sure you got the public facilities. That creates a power center. You connect that power center to other power centers, and that's what a healthy community. Long story short, these are all the power centers. We know them, we've identified them, and we're trying to not just work in one area, we're trying to take that $272 million and make sure everyone in Temple gets a piece of the pie, and that we connect everybody, that they have a healthy living, that they have a chance for public services, for a chance for retail and housing in all sectors. And again, 175 slides, I'd show you each individual power, but again, just in the sense of time, outer loop, you've seen that. We are taking our outer loop from I-35 to I-35 on the west side. It's 100% funded. We're getting ready to finish the last section to the north and to the south. The south section's held up because there was no dairy there, and if we do the overpass over the track, that shade from that overpass would put a shadow on that dairy that was there in 1870. That's the kind of stuff you guys deal with and we deal with. So we're waiting to figure out how do you unshadow a piece of dirt with no dairy. That's what the loop looks like. Very important to make sure you can go 4 to 6 lanes in the future and travel around our community, getting from one place to another. We are very much concentrating on the east loop now, be down by Heidenheimer all the way up to where Cargill is, up to the north. And so we've pretty much flown the whole thing, have our layouts and our buying the necessary right-of-way so that we can begin the East Loop. Probably take 10 years to do that. The first section, really from Heidenheimer over to the plant, that's where this is. It's over by Lorraine Drive. I don't know if you ever get in there, but that little red square to the top is Green Data. It is a data plant, a $1 billion plant. They make Bitcoin, actual Bitcoin. It's not the currency. So as you can see, Bitcoins are finally on their way up. Crazy that we got a Bitcoin operator here, but that is that plant, and it's massive and is a huge thing for this community to be bringing this kind of data plants here because of the stream that it'll bring, the pipeline, the data that it takes to run that. And so really interesting what those are. It's just a big old computer. Do you guys know how they make a Bitcoin? It's really crazy. It's really crazy. I had to learn this. They got computers, and they're answering a arithmetic question in the computer, and the whole time it takes to answer the question with these massive computers, when they are done, it creates a blockchain Bitcoin. That's just crazy. So that's all they are. It's big old computers out there finishing an answer to a complex question, and that by doing that, it creates a chain. And I'm looking at the IT guys, they're saying pretty close, but it is a real crazy thing that's happening to Central Texas with this. I don't know if you've seen this out west. It's almost complete now, and it's Revel Greens. It's a lettuce factory, huge facility, great for us. Again, just having that facility in Temple, Texas. Up to the north, East Penn, a battery plant, Niagara. Both of these collectively are close to $2 billion in investment. So as they both just now are coming online, probably add about $5 million to our increment per year. This will be the first year on both of those that they hit the tax. The one to the north, Niagara, is in Troy. So met with Troy about 5 years ago when we did that master plan. They said we have no tax base. Well, now they've got about $2 billion worth of facilities coming to them, and then they'll have a little easier way to build schools. And so you're going to see a lot of people moving to the north in the city of Temple, very similar like Belton, where a huge part of Troy's school system is in the city of Temple. And so the infrastructure that we've put in for these are also feeding that whole quadrant out there. So you will really begin to see a multitude of subdivisions going up there, and Troy will be going through the same thing you all have, which is, hey, now we got a tax base, and all of a sudden we got a bunch of houses. FedEx, 250 employees. Each one of these, 250 employees, high-paying jobs, bringing in construction workers, bringing in a tax base. We take their tax base, we go build more. When we build more people come in. We're only taking the people who have the higher jobs. That way, we're raising the average salaries. As you raise the salaries up, you actually are lifting the boat. And as we lift the boat, we go spend it throughout the community. Meta, we've all heard that. This is the H design. If you've ever seen the H design, this is almost 15 years old. And this is their data plants. They got them all over the world. The center of the H is the actual office and control center. The two legs of the H is where all the computers are. At the old design, it pushed the cold air through the computers down to the basement. And I really believe that with ChatGPT and everything else that has just recently hit the marketplace to where AI is taking over, this was AI, this was for Meta, this was moving us into that world that they realized very quickly that they had to change the GPU for their facilities, and they actually stopped them worldwide. And they have 3 designs. They're just moving away from this. This is a 15-year-old design. Cost them a little bit to hold. We've been assured we're released the water sewer project that this is just a 3 or 4 month hold to pick which one of the 3 designs, take down the H's that they got out there and start over. The water, I can't remember the real number, but I'm going to make this number up. Don't quote me on it. I believe it's about 4 MGD that this plant took, high water user. And one of the things that Meta is doing, Green Dad and all these people, that's why we got all the solar plants. They're the ones funding the solar plants. Solar plants come in, they buy the power, and that's why they can say they're green, because they really are using solar energy. The energy's put on the grid. They've already bought it. They've already put it in. So they're very much power conscious. Now they want to be water conscious. This was going to be a $1.5 billion data first phase. With the redesign of this, it'll probably be a $1.5 to $2 billion, half the size, half the water. They didn't get the water back because they're really excited about the fact that they can double that. So for us, we're going to end up with a $5 or $6 billion plant. $5 or $6 billion plant will equal somewhere in the $20 million range for increment on top of the 30 we already have. This pyramid just keeps on pumping out. We take the money, pump it back into our community. That's the site. If you've been out there, takeaways. Just real quick, why is this happening? Everybody always says this. It's the number one question that they ask me. Why are you guys having to build schools? Why are all these kids coming? What's really happening that's making this happen? This is one of the engines that's making it happen, which is why I appreciate you giving me the time to talk to you about it and allow me the time to represent our school system, BISD, Temple, on this zone, because we work really hard to make sure we do both. Raise the salaries, get good jobs, pass that across the whole boundary of our community, and it is just making us grow. That is one thought. We have water, and we got quite a bit of water. We're not using it, and we need to keep on using it, so we're using it so that we can do it. We've got a lot of water underneath us. The blue is actually the Edwards. More importantly is that maroon stuff to the east. There is an ocean of water that starts about Cameron. And so at some particular point, if we run out of water above ground, we'll be going underground. We just have to move to Cameron, and we'll figure out how to do that when you got $40 million a year coming in an increment. Temple, if you'll notice that we are doubling the size of our plant. We're at 20 MGD. I think we're going to 40, so we will be ahead. One of the things when you do, you put a lot of water. You got your water, you got to use it, you got to build a plant, you can manufacture the water so we can ship it. Big problem is you got to then go pump it somewhere. You got to have a pump station in between multiple areas, and you got to have elevated storage tanks and ground storage tanks. So we're spending a ton of money there. We're spending about $35 million in the next 3 years transferring the water so that we can get it to those places around the city. That's what the zone's done. It's really helped us. You won't be hearing about impact fees because we've taken that pressure off of the system, allows the city to use their fees to go out there and help developers, home builders, retail, restaurants, and they're not having to do an impact fee, which keeps our taxes down and allows us to grow. One other thing, and we all know this is happening. California is moving to Texas. That's just what's happening. It's been here over the years, but you got, Google who bought that building down there. They're going to take less space than when I gave this presentation last, but they are still moving there. This is unbelievable. This one announcement will affect us more than anything that's happened in Texas, which is the Samsung plant. Have you guys seen the Tesla when you're going to the airport? Samsung's plant, when it's done, will hold 9 of those. They've announced 17 billion. Right now, the number's closer to 500, somewhere in that number. We're reshoring. That's where we're going to be buying our chips. We won't be waiting for a Ford truck or a Chevy truck ever again. We're not going to do that to our society. Therefore, the government spent a bunch of money, passed a bill, said you can do it. Texas jumped on it. We're building that Samsung plant right now. If you fly over, it's happening. From my subdivision in Hartrick Ranch, it is 35 minutes to that plant. Samsung today has buses coming into Bell County to take employees there. If you've been to San Francisco, you understand that, because in San Francisco, Amazon's got thousands of buses all over the place taking their employees. If they're going to get employees, they're going to be our employees. They're people we are teaching in our schools. There are us. They're going to come here. You go to Austin, you can buy your $1.5 million house. You come to Temple, you can buy your $250,000 house, right? That's the person who works. That's the one we're educating. Those are the people we got to take care of. That's where they're going to be working. John's opinion. Again, Tesla just announced they're going to double the size of their plant. Micron's in Taylor going to do the same thing, right? Interesting thought. It's just a thought provoking. You got I-14 going over to Houston, so we can move stuff from one area to another. You got SpaceX sitting up here. It's the only way we're getting to space. Everything that's going to everywhere is coming from him. I mean, it's how we get to the space station. He's building the rockets. We all get to hear it every night, right? So you got that happening. Meta is going to happen. It's going to be twice as big as it used to be. Disney's an interesting, we spent a lot of time on that. If you've not looked at this, so this will be the 3rd largest city in 15 years in Bell County. This is unbelievable. They were smart. They couldn't get the water, met with a judge. What are we going to do? What are you going to do? And they just put a pipeline over to that little maroon line I was talking about. They already got their water. And they're like, boom, here we go. 20,000 people in 15 years. Pretty close to us. And that's the old Solana Ranch. So it's just crazy. You got Samsung, we've already talked about. You got Tesla, Google, Facebook. Every major company has moved there, right? Elon, in case if you've ever spent the time, Google the old Alcoa plant, 35,000 acres, and he bought it. He's got a power plant sitting on it and 2 data sitting right on it. You look at that, you look where Temple is, you look where BISD is, and you say, why is it growing? I'll tell you one thing, it's not only going to grow, it's going to continue to grow. We have to be ready. They're going to come, right? In Micron. So I would tell you one thing. I just recently was talking, we have had Dr. Dotzer come into Temple, Texas. He always talks to us. He's the Texas A&M real estate guru, and he comes and tells us he's been spot on. We've had him talk to us, I'd say, for 15 years. About what's happening. He predicted this a year ago, what we're in. I just watched a podcast from December, and he has said, we are in a recession. I mean, there's no question if you're in any business, we're in a recession. He said, there's only one thing different. Texas isn't going to partake. He said, it's just not going to partake. There's too much coming in. He said, all the projections, the population that he had are going to miss. They're going to miss. They're going to go higher. They're moving from the east, they're moving from Pacific West faster at a more accelerated rate than pre-recession, because we're not going to partake. So for us, we have noticed it, there's a slowdown. People are readjusting to the interest rates. But to you all, the work that you're doing, Mr. Morgan and the others, to prepare for these next set of schools, don't adjust your projections, and if you do, project them up, because this is going to happen. Everything that you've seen is happening. The dollars we have, we're going to spend it. Thank you for allowing me to represent you.
Thank you, Mr. Keeler. Open it up to any questions. Start here. I'll go down. Chris?
I want to thank you. You're like the Energizer Bunny. And you are everywhere, right? I mean, what you personally do for the community and around the community, and everything that you've got your hands in to make sure that this community continues to rise, like the bigger community, right? Not just Belton, not just, right, but the whole area here in Central Texas. Thank you for what you do for this. You know, I think I'd say something I told the city manager from Temple when she was here. You know, we're gonna rise and fall together, right? And we are linked. Whether we like it or not, you know, great things are going to come when we stay close together, like Belton ISD and the city of Temple, the city of Belton, the city of Morgan's Point. We've got to stay connected, and we've got to continue to have conversations like this to go forward. I would be interested at some point to bend your ear a little bit, to focus in a little bit, to understand a little bit more about West Temple specifically, because there's great things going on here, but I'm missing a couple of little pieces of the picture around West Temple specifically, and kind of where it overlaps with Belton ISD. So, I mean, we certainly don't have the time to do that here, but I would love to kind of bend your ear.
That's been the biggest problem. You know, when Connie told me 10 minutes, and I said, oh, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I've never done anything in 10 minutes. This is an hour presentation, 175 slides that dives in to, if you drive down Hilliard right now, that is $60 million worth of investment that is going into that one little piece. And so it just doesn't stop. And I know Mr. Morgan and it has a great group of people who are trying to get that picture. I've constantly pushed the superintendent to make sure that you can begin to see these, because the plans that are happening aren't on paper now. If you drive down Hilliard, you can see it coming out of the ground, and it's just not going to stop. And so how do we control that? I've broadened my view a little bit to Troy, Little River, and in real terms, that 93 corridor all the way down to Taylor, y'all. I removed one slide that says what's happening. We are the new Round Rock. Our prices are Round Rock. It's where they're coming. It's how it's felt. We sell a ton of houses, and the people always say, my God, it only takes me 35 minutes to get to Georgetown, you know, and I got an employee that drove 4 hours to work and back. Because the people who work for us, the people who we know, the people who are educating, don't buy $1.5 million house. We don't have a lot of those in Bell County. And so most people who work for me, they're just good, solid people, and they had to drive 4 hours. And they're happy to think that they're going to be able to either go down 93 or I-35 and are only an hour away from the work. You know, that is something we didn't think in the past. And now we are a bigger community, and so there's no question that thought, you've moved it this way, and you can really broaden that out to be prepared for it. One last thing that's real important, you know, all three of my kids, I was on this stage with my son when he got those awards when they were junior high here. 3 masters, all 3 of my kids graduated BISD, they're all here. And they came here, it's a good place. So we do a good job educating them.
Maybe one of the things we can do is maybe later in the spring, we can have you for a workshop, and we can just talk about the West Temple BISD portion and dive in a little bit more. But I think that'd be good to know and understand how it impacts Belton ISD and what we can do to be good partners, because we want to be good partners for our entire community and do what's good for our taxpayers and the students that we serve. And so definitely looking forward to talking to you more, and we appreciate you being here tonight, John.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
I want to echo what Chris was saying. John, thank you for coming here today. It's a wealth of knowledge, and I would like to hear your full presentation at some point. I just can't, you gave me a lot of food for thought tonight, and there's got to be some way that what you do in Temple is going to benefit us here. I mean, it's and just like Matt said, I would love to have you come and conduct a workshop for us.
I'd be more than happy. My time's yours.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keelan. All right, next is Goal 1, Parents as Partners Report.
Trustees, just as you know, through workshops and board presentations, we update you every month on our progress toward goals that you've adopted as a school board. And Goal 1 talks about engaging our community. Jen Bailey and others from our team are going to walk you through our steps to work on engaging parents in Belton ISD.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. Dr. Smith, it is my pleasure to present to you tonight Goal 1 and Parents as Partners, our report. The purpose of our presentation tonight is to update you all on the actions that we've taken which strengthen our partnerships with parents in the areas of operations, human resources, and communications. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Mike Morgan.
Thank you, Board. We've had, since the last time we visited this topic, we've had several opportunities, I think, for some meaningful dialogue with parents and some really good contributions to some of the big work we've been doing. So if you'll remember, back in December, we completed a process around school name selection, and we had multiple parents involved in that process, and really thankful that they took the time to be thoughtful representatives and to be part of our school naming process. Attendance boundaries has been something that we've been working on since September. We did have a parent attendance boundary, parent thought exchange as prior to our parameter work that we also took on in December, and we had almost 1,000 or almost 900 participants, 228 thoughts, and almost 7,000 ratings that came out of that, and that has influenced the work that we've been doing. And then we also have upcoming, in the next few weeks, we will have attendance boundary community feedback sessions. We will have a digital option for that, and then we will have some open houses where parents and staff can come in and interact with our staff and ask questions and give us feedback on their thoughts on the attendance boundaries. So those are some important work. We are very thankful that we have parents willing to contribute and look forward to some of the things coming up in the next few weeks.
Good evening again. So we are doing our best to increase the number of volunteers that are able to get into our schools, and we're doing that. One way we're doing that is utilizing a group called Education Connection. That is a group that's located south of us, and what they do is they help coordinate volunteers. They gather them through churches, community organizations, and businesses, and they put them through a training to get them involved in our school systems, to come in and read in 30-minute sessions, typically 15 minutes each, kind of 30 minutes during the week time, 30 minutes per week, and get them to come into our elementary campuses and read to our students. And so we're kicking those off. They've come in and spoke to our faith-based leaders. They come in and talked last month to our leadership team, including our principals, and it looks like we are in a good spot to, there's a lot of excitement around it with our elementary campuses, and we're in a good spot to move forward on this and take our next steps and work with our faith-based leaders and hopefully be able to assign them to support a campus. And then Education Connection from there will come in and they'll take it from there. They'll coordinate the volunteers, assign them to a campus, and put them through the training and get them ready to go.
I just had a quick question. Do they do background checks?
Background checks will be run through the Human Resources Department. We'll have a part in our application, volunteer application, where they'll select Education Connection as part of the application process. It's a brief application. We do the background checks, and then we turn them over to them, and they orient them and get them ready. Good question. Thank you.
So in the area of communications, BISD's been hosting meetings with parent groups. Most recently, we hosted our PTA and PTO volunteers on January 6th. Several of y'all were with us that day, and you could feel the energy of that group. You could see them all wanting to work together to provide for all of our students in our district, and it's really great. We hope to have some more meetings the rest of the year. We sent them a survey that day to see how we can serve them better and facilitate their development. Another thing that the communications department has worked on this year is making information accessible. We developed a Parents as Partner webpage to direct our families to district-level volunteer opportunities. We developed a military families webpage to make it easy for our military-connected families to find the resources that they need. And we've also, hopefully you've noticed, on our bi-monthly e-newsletters, we have a Get Involved section so that all of our parents, all of our recipients of our newsletter know how they can get involved and support our students in action. We've also strived to have parent-focused communication this year, and that includes parent testimonials that you can see on our website. We've spotlighted volunteers in multiple media outlets. We've had it on our Facebook page and then in our spread with the Belton Journal. In the fall, we sent out multiple communications. You probably remember about our safety enhancements. And we're trying to bring information to our parents that would be of interest to them. And we've also developed, or are developing, a call to action success rate. So we can tell people that read our messages in our e-newsletters or on Facebook, how many of those folks are clicking back to our website and actually like responding to the information that we've sent? And that's very important as we measure how we get people involved, getting them the information that they need. Moving forward into the spring, we want to continue to partner with our parents and gather their input and feedback so that that can be a piece of our improvement efforts. And so as you remember, last year we surveyed our students and our staff. This year we want to broaden that and include our parents. So on the consent agenda tonight, there is a mention of Gibson Consulting Group. They're the folks that did our student survey last year, and they can incorporate our parents this year and then have all of that information on the same dashboard. So it'll be very helpful for us looking to see where any discrepancy may lie between a student's perspective versus a parent's perspective. And then I'm also pleased to say that this year we're planning a half-day in-person conference, probably on a weekend, and it will be designed to equip families with beneficial information that supports their child's success. We'll be looking at partnering with community organizations that have beneficial information to offer. And we're still in the development stage of that, but I am very excited about that. I know that that's going to come together. So, our KPM for Goal 1, as you know, is each campus and central office will implement 2 or more new targeted strategies to increase partnerships with parents by May 2023. So you've heard tonight about some of the efforts that we've been doing at the district level. At the campus level, campuses have reported back that, as you know, many of them have implemented watchdogs. Some have hosted Parent University. They've hosted coffees with the principal. They've invited parents to be mystery guest readers or guest speakers. They've opened their campuses back up to parents having lunch with their child during the day. They're hosting STEAM nights, math and science nights, literacy nights. They're having a campus showcase and inviting parents in. So that's a hodgepodge of what's going on throughout the district. So by my calculations, based on what I know from what the campuses have reported, I would say that we are about 88% have completed this KPM. And so I have no doubt that we will be at 100% by May of 2023. What questions do you have?
I have just a comment and a couple of questions. First, comment to say I'm really encouraged by the strides that you all are making to this Parents for Partners. And so that the comment that I have for the Education Connection, is that something that will be starting next year? And I know that y'all are still probably in the logistics. And then we went to the training, and I correct me if I'm wrong, this may or may not be at every campus, depending on the partnerships.
Yeah, I think our hope is to get it out to as many campuses as possible, and if we can get them to all campuses, that'd be great. Hopefully, we're going to try to pilot this pretty quickly with the campus later on this spring, and if we can get more campuses on by the end of the year, we'll do that. If not, we hope to be full-blown as we enter the upcoming school year.
Yeah. I'm just really excited about something like this because, as being part of a PTA, it's hard for a PTA to pull off volunteers to come in and read with kids because there's just so many moving parts, and so I'm just really thrilled to see something like this come in. And then I got on the parents' the website that was created and played around with it, and I would love it. I think it would be great if we could really promote that a lot more. I don't know how new it is, but I'd be willing to bet if I asked several of my friends, they may not even know it existed. So I think it's good that you all are promoting it, but I think nothing beats hearing it from your principal and your teachers that, hey, this is out there, please check it out, because that page is really phenomenal. There's a lot of things that parents really, I think, would be really encouraged to know.
Well, thank you for that comment, and absolutely, and that helps go back to the measurement, the call to action success rate, and we can look at the metrics on that page, and now we know where to shoot for and to get more visits to that page. But yes, we've tried to make it as robust as possible, so thank you.
If I could just talk to some of the, like the first bullet on that communication slide, hosting meetings with parent groups. I know several of us, maybe all of us, have been involved in one of those in some way, shape, or form. I've had the privilege to, I guess, participate in some of the faith-based leader groups, and then also the PTA group. And those, I think those have been so impactful, so positive, such positive interactions with the folks that have been there, particularly around the education connections piece of it, like the energy around people in the community wanting to volunteer and be in the schools. Like, that's what we need, right? And so that was an amazing experience kind of sitting with that group. I think with the PTAs in particular, I think it was so empowering for the PTAs. They were so excited to be there. We talked to them a little bit about like the role of like what does the school board even do, right? I mean, there's a lot of misconception, I think, there. But then I think there were a lot of great ideas shared between those PTAs, and there was even a small group of us that continued the meeting afterwards a little bit. We hijacked the room for a little while later, just because the ideas just kept flowing. And the energy there, I think it's so important for us to continue that in some way, shape, or form. So I really do. I don't want this to die out, right? Like, we've started something really great. The train has left the station, and it just needs to continue to move even faster, right? Particularly for the PTAs. I mean, I think just by reading that room and the folks that we were talking to, like, if we can pull off that PTA meeting like 2 or 3 times a year, I think the PTAs would come. I mean, that meeting was so, I think, impactful to everybody in that room. So thank you for putting that together. I think it's exactly what we are looking for, right? To kind of help us reach out in this area. And for me personally, like I really got a lot out of that event. Helped connect some dots for me that I didn't think I needed to connect, but it helped me form some new connections. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Back on the PTA meeting, one of the things discussed during that meeting was how that they could get information to us as board members to come to events on campuses, and we were all over it. We were so excited about being more informed on like the day-to-day activities that are happening on each individual campus. So I would like to pursue that as we go forward too with this.
Absolutely, yes. We're working through a process that is least cumbersome on everyone, but yeah, we'll definitely have that for you.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, just thank y'all for the hard work you're doing. And I will say this, it started with the journey of a graduate where Suzanne's been on the board longer than the rest of us, but we really opened everything up to the community and said, we really want your input. And you have to be careful when you do that because you're going to get it, and we have. And I would say in the past few years, we have engaged our parents and our community members more than at any other time. And this is coming from someone who was a parent in the district long before I was on the board, but just reaching out and saying, no, we want to know. We want you in the schools. We want to know what you want. What do you think? And it would have been real easy to put the journey of a graduate up and then push the community part aside, which is what you see a lot of people do, kind of like mission statements. But we haven't. And that puts a tremendous amount of work on all of you. I mean, we get up here and we talk, but that was just something that got added to your job. And we didn't add a new position to say, hey, you're now the coordinator of Journey of a Graduate, so get all the community. That's on top of the jobs you were already doing. So just thank you for doing that. I see the stuff on Twitter and Facebook and the parents that we're having involved now. And it's so nice to see parents back in the schools, which we can finally do that again. But it's also nice to see a lot of different parents in the schools. And that's what I'm encouraged to see, that we're seeing more and more of parents that, haven't always been involved, and they are involved now. And it's just going to make us better. So thank you all very much for all that hard work. I know it's hard. We greatly appreciate it. All of BISD does. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is mid-year update, goals and key progress measures. Dr. Smith.
So, Board, I'm going to ask all of our cabinet members to come on up. Each of our cabinet members has a role to play in this discussion coming up. They're going to go through real quickly our mid-year check-in. As you all recall, we adopt key progress measures every year. Those are annual targets that we want to hit because we believe they are the most impactful work under each goal statement that you adopt. And so our cabinet members are going to walk us through one by one how we're progressing in our key progress measures this year. This is going to be a brief presentation because we present to you every month on this. And so this is just a mid-year check-in to recap some of the things that are going on. One of the things that when we talked about this in our Team of 8 training over the summer, a board member made a comment, I sometimes don't know where we are in the process for improvement. I know what the goals are and I know where where we're trying to go, but I don't know exactly where we stand. So these monthly reports and this mid-year check-in are to help us know where we are in the process to that improvement effort. Jen's going to get us kicked off with Goal 1, and I think you heard a little bit about it already. Go ahead, Jen.
Yes, as you can see, it's marked as in progress on Goal 1, and we have a lot of initiatives going on at multiple levels of the district, at the campus level, as I've said, at the district level, within different departments, and I am very confident that we will meet our KPM by May of 2023.
I'm here to talk about Goal 2, and I recently had an update with you all and gave you a lot of our data. We are in progress in all 3 of our goals and on track. What I do want to talk about is the dedication that we've had from about 30 of our teachers around math instruction specifically and what we want math instruction to look like in our classrooms. They did some intensive research and some learning on some state research around the best instructional practices. So they're research-based instructional strategies, RBIs is what they're known for, and they've developed a math framework for what we want math instruction to look like, and this is from the work of our teachers. And so now we will be, as of starting tomorrow, we'll be unpacking that with our principals so we can start to establish strong look-fors in our classrooms, and then we'll have some professional development coming up at Recharge around that best practices in math for our teachers. That's our Goal 2.
On Goal 3, our key progress measure for that is 80% of our world-class employees will establish and pursue learning goals by June 2023, and we are in progress on that. We asked, at the beginning of the year, we asked all employees to complete a goal-setting form, and they listed out the learning goal that they wanted to achieve, and they had some conversations with their supervisors about pursuing that goal. And so the recharge session that Dr. Lovesmith just mentioned is going to help us fulfill that goal for many employees. There's over 220 sessions that are going to be offered on February the 20th for our staff, and so that will help them fulfill those goals. So we're excited about that. We don't think we're going to have any problems meeting that goal.
So our key progress measure for Goal 4 revolves around the development of a behavioral framework. We mentioned this in a workshop a couple of months ago about how feedback that we had gotten from last year from staff, primarily teachers, from parents, and from students. This is one of the areas where we feel like we could get better. So the behavioral framework, we've had a cross-department team working on this for months now. It's going to focus around prevention, intervention, discipline, professional development. We want something that is clearly and well communicated, that's based on consistency and implemented with fidelity, that's student-centered and is proactive, and something we can all be pleased with. So work's continuing on this. We do feel like we're in progress on it, and we do feel like it's going to be something that is stakeholder informed and is going to make our whole system better when we're ready to roll it out.
And last but not least, Goal 5. So this is also in progress. And so since June, we've had staff committee meetings, and we've met several times since June, and looking at maximizing the efficiencies in our staffing models, and have meeting with stakeholders and principals and getting feedback from them as we kind of look into that. And then, of course, HR and the business office are kind of working hand in hand. We're doing analyticals on our employee management, which is our position inventory, looking at that to help maximize our budget. And then I am just starting to begin to roll out the campus and departmental budgets. And we'll be taking a very deep dive into our informational technology renewals that we have. We have a bunch of those throughout the district, and looking for economies of scale and how we can maximize the dollars just in those licenses. And some of that's going to be forced because of a new GASB pronouncement that I'll have to implement, but going to try to knock that out with both of those simultaneously. And so we're still working, and we'll be working throughout the budget process.
So Board, our cabinet members are each leading multiple efforts under each one of these goals. The key progress measure, again, is just one measure under each goal that we report out on to you on a regular basis. As Melissa said, we're going to actually take a deep dive with you on Goal 5 coming up in the February workshop that we have for our Board of Trustees is going to be on Goal 5, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about budget and staffing at that time as we plan for the spring and eventually bring you a budget to adopt in August. So that'll get the budget season kicked off during the next workshop. Are there any questions for myself or any of our cabinet members on the mid-year check-in? Excellent. Thank you all. We appreciate your support.
Thank you very much. Next is Facility Committee report. You don't look like Mr. Taggart, but you're going to fill in?
I'm not Mr. Taggart, but Ms. Bass and Ms. McDonald can probably help me out a little bit in this, but we had an outstanding report for our Facilities Committee this last time. We went in a lengthy report on the status of each one of our bond projects right now and how they're progressing, and we're really proud of the work that's going on. I think there's, when you pass a bond like this, there's a lot of design work and a lot of prep work that gets going. And when we finally start seeing things go vertical, as Mike talked about for Elementary 12 or Burrell Elementary School, it's starting to feel like, oh yeah, these things are really coming to life. And so it's a good feeling, but they were able to detail the amount of work that's gone on each one of these projects. And I think it's pretty spectacular what's been achieved in a short amount of time. Aaron and Suzanne, anything else that you would add?
You did a good job.
I want to point out to Mr. Taggart that I think my report was more brief than his was, so he won't believe it.
You did a very good job. Mr. Alcozer, Policy Committee report.
Okay, this is from our meeting on January the 9th. And this is a continuation of the policies that were addressed back in March of last year when we had the policy review. And these policies are all beginning on page 61 or 64 of the consent agenda for a second reading. Some of these policies were deleted. For example, BAA local legal, board legal status, powers and duties. That was deleted. Why was it deleted? Because it's covered in legal. Let's see, student activities, FM local. One thing that was added there was that, well, no, that was also, let me back up a little bit. FMG, local student activities, travel, that was deleted because it's covered in the handbook. We had some discussion about DCE, local employment practices, other types of contracts. I think it's chapter 21 of the Education Code, right? Dealing with employment contracts. Well, in that particular provision, I had asked why do we have to have a grievance procedure for someone that is not a Chapter 21 employee? And I think the answer is because since we're a school district, it applies to all employees. And my question was, well, if a term ends, then why should we even talk about, having a grievance procedure after that if their contract ends? Well, because we're a school district and all employees are covered by that. So that answered that question. The others, we deleted FEE local because it's covered in the student handbook. FM local, one provision was added. You cannot limit an eligible student's absences related to participation in extracurricular activities. Makes sense. Oh, and the other one was DH local, employee standards of conduct. If you recall, obviously it's you can't possess a firearm here on the campus or some other type of weapon, but there is an exception to that, and the exception to that is employees that we approve as a board that can carry a weapon on campus, and that was added as an exception. One other thing, Chris, remember the meeting beforehand, you had asked to review the form, the transfer form, the interest transfer form. I think we're still waiting on a couple things because of the boundary change we're going to make. Form hasn't changed any. There may be some change because of the boundaries, but other than that, it appears the same. Anything else? Janet, I think that was it, right? That's about it.
Any questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for the reports. Next item on the agenda is a consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull an item for discussion? No? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Ms. Bass, do I have a second? Ms. Lee, all in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Board members, at this time, are there any requests for new information or reports from the administrative team? No? Okay. As a reminder, we have the following upcoming events. You have the calendar there in front of you. Actually, quite a bit of things coming up right now, going into that time of year. All right, we will now proceed with public comments regarding non-agenda items. As mentioned earlier, in order to comply with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the board may not respond to comments or otherwise discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on the meeting agenda. Participants are allotted 3 minutes for public comments regarding non-agenda items. We have a timer on the screen that shows your allotted time. A sound will occur at the conclusion. When I call your name, please come to the podium. State your name and city of residence for the record. The first person is Janet Brown, and the person on deck will be Hillary Hickland.
Good evening. I'm Janet Brown, and I'm a resident of Morgan's Point Resort. I'm also a great-great-grandmother. I'm soon to add another great to that. So it's amazing, as I have another grandchild soon to arrive. So it's astounding that we still have to speak with the Board of School Trustees on values and morals to protect children. We've been called book burners, liars, those religious nuts, and one of my all-time favorites, the far, 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 far right people, to refrain saying, and also to refrain from saying the word grooming. Why? Because we know that sexually explicit, obscene, pornographic, and pervasively vulgar books that are available for minors, they should not be available to them in our school libraries because our schools are meant for education, and these type of books serve no educational value. As stated, you, Belton ISD Board of Trustee members, Suzanne McDonald, Chris Floor, Janet Lee, Aaron Bass, Ty Taggart, Manuel Alcocer, Jeff Norwood, and Superintendent Matt Smith are responsible for the smear on Belton community values. The buck stops here with you. Even as the unpaid people that you are, it stops with you. Have you read these books? Will you read these books? Because if we want to review them, we have to read them. Would you let your child read or even look at these books? You received another handout tonight. We only pass these out to the parents because we're very protective of the children. We didn't want the children to see these pictures. One of the books that's featured in here is by an author. The book was already pulled. It was challenged and it was pulled. But we found another book by the same author with same graphic pictures in it in the library, in Lake Belton High School Library. So there's still issues here. Your policy and actions are not protecting the children of Belton. Everyone has a choice to do the right thing. Chances are they know what that right thing to do is. The books will be your legacy, not a name on a building or a school, but over-sexualized books that each of you allowed to be available to children. We call them minors, but they are children. I pray that God softens your hearts and pours wisdom into your minds and the strength of spirit to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Hillary Hickland. There you go. There you go.
Hillary Hickland from Belton. Thank you for your support. I am definitely engaged. I had the opportunity to review the wellness plan, and I really like it. It raises a standard for health, and it puts limits on harmful materials provided to our students by the school. This policy is based on a federal nutritional standards, and it requires food and beverages to meet smart snacks and their requirements. The district then monitors the types of food and beverages made available to ensure that each campus is in compliance. Even 100% of the snacks advertised on the exterior of the vending machines must be of smart snacks. Thank you. It could be said that snacks have been censored or that students' rights to sugar is being violated. However, this policy elevates a standard for students, and I'm grateful. Now let's apply that same standard to books. We already know that safeguarding students' access to sexually explicit material is necessary. Tonight, the board approved a contract for Go Guardian for $82,000 that places a filter on Chromebooks. And yet, all our students can find books with filthy graphics and narratives in every secondary library in our district. I gave you a handout for the FCC guidelines. Consider the Federal Communications Commission. The FCC regulated a standard of decency for public broadcasting that has been upheld for decades and overcome challenges all the way to the Supreme Court. You will never be exposed to obscene material on public television or radio. The FCC goes even further, and between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m., when there is a reasonable risk that children may be in the audience, they also prohibit indecent and profane content. With the 2 books that have been removed, Belton ISD has acknowledged the presence of obscene material in our libraries. How many more would be indecent or profane? Why would public broadcasting have a higher standard of decency for our children than our schools? Please, as you have done with nutrition, elevate the standard for our schools and protect our children from harmful materials. It's my recommendation that the board audit our libraries and remove all obscene, indecent, and profane material from district circulation. This is beyond a parental rights issue. The state has a vested interest in protecting children if this local governing board will not. This issue is not going away. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. All right. The time is now 8:03. The board will now go into closed session for consultation with attorney, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, discussion of district-wide intruder detection audit report findings, Texas Government Code Section 551.089, and personnel, Texas Government Code Section 551.074.